seems to be wasting quite a bit of oil on the tip of the screwdriver. People had suggested that I can buy some syringes for this, so I might look into that. Yeah, I don't love this remaining oil on the tip of the screwdriver. Let's see if we get it to run off some. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be wanting to come off, so. Gonna do that for now. Those two grease pots are good, and then I don't know if I want to even try to get this grease to go in there, because this looks, yeah, I think I'm just gonna use the grease directly out of the grease tube for now. That is 94.15. I don't even know that that was on the greasing list. So 1300 is my medium, 9010 is the thick. So the first oiling diagram is actually only calling out the 1300, although I think, let's see, where is that? 9501. I think that is this other bottle of grease here. Yeah, that's the thicker 9501 stuff here. And I don't know, this is a little thicker, but there's also, if you look in there, you can see it's kind of running around, but it's also got this thick bit on the side. I don't know if that's better to shake up. Let me try. Kind of learning on the go. I might not actually try to oil today and do some more tutorials first. We shall see. But we are definitely, okay, let's see if that, oh yeah, that looks way better. Okay, we're gonna do that. We need to get some oil into these cups though, so I'm thinking probably grease. I'm actually not gonna put in. I'm gonna put the 9501, which is I think the thicker. So I've got the red, I've got the super thin stuff for like the very, very fine pivots. And then this green, this blue one will go into the black cup here. In the meantime, I'm gonna move these over. I think I need to be very careful about moving these pots now that they're full of oil though. So, but in the meantime, we'll get these oils off of here. I actually wonder what people do for the grease though, because those are super thin, or thick rather. In the meantime, I also have noticed that, I'll actually show you guys this in a minute once I start pulling apart the watch, but my 2.5 millimeter screwdriver seems to have become magnetic somehow. So I need to figure out how to demagnetize that. But in the meantime, let's get started here. Super straightforward. The goal today, disassemble, reassemble with minimal instructions. All right, here we go. Got everything prepped. Got my parts tray out of the way. Okay, go ahead and get the normal loop prepped and ready. Here is the boy we're doing today. Get my light set up here, get my chair set up. All right. Just trying to get comfortable here, and then we'll get started. Okay. So, the first step of all of this is cannon pinion removal. Normally you'd be taking off the face and the feet. I already have, there's no face on this, and the hands are actually still off from the last time I disassembled the watch. Not really practicing that part. So, in the meantime, see if I can get a better view of this. This thing does not like to grip cannon pinions very much. Here we go. Cannon pinion removed. Moving on. We're going to flip this over for now. And we'll pop it into this movement holder. And let's get started. First step. Gonna go ahead and take out the balance. And we're just going to start disassembling here. So next up, skate wheel bridge. Oh, that was so bad, everybody. I forgot to let down the power of the watch. That could have been very poor. It actually might have been very poor. That could have been real bad for the watch. We shall see. Ha! Rookie mistake, not letting the power out. That thing just barely whistled. We'll see if everything looks okay down there. It actually does look okay. Very easily could have damaged parts. Yeah, that was bad. Okay, from here, we'll go train wheel. Not train wheel, sorry. Gonna take off all of the parts. This one is a righty-tighty, or righty-loosey, lefty-tighty screw. Pretty confusing there. Boop. And the click spring. Spring came off with that. Gonna move this a little closer so that I can get this movement closer to me. Okay. Now we go train wheel bridge. Although I think that the actual barrel bridge here can come off first, so we'll do that. Screw number 1. Screw number 2. And with that, the bridge might come, yep, there you go. Just pull the bridge out from underneath here. From there, we can do the train of wheels. Gotta love making a mistake on like step 2 today. Hopefully we didn't damage the pallet fork or the escape wheel by making it spin at Mach 2. We probably had a full wind in this watch as well, because I've just been playing with it all day long today. While I was working, I just kept winding it up, playing with it, fidgeting with it. They're amazing fidget toys. Go ahead and pop this off. There's the train wheel bridge. Time to pull out the train wheels. Wheel 1. And this is actually the escape wheel bridge. I'm going to put that over here. Wheel 2. This is also the second wheel. You can see it has a longer pin down there that goes through the movement. There is the intermediate. I think that's the second wheel. I can never remember the number of these wheels. I need to go back and look. But I'm going to take a real close look at this wheel real fast. The pivots luckily look okay. Very luckily, I should say. Very, very poor decision making on my part to not take that off first. Go ahead and take out the pallet fork bridge. And the pallet fork itself, which is just incredibly small. Take a look at this thing too. Ooh, I might have chipped a jewel there. Let's see. Need a bigger magnification. Not as good as I can see on my 12x loop, but they look okay. Don't think we have any chips. And the pivots look okay, not great. We're gonna clean those off with some Rodico later. Okay, that's everything on this side of the watch. This is the screw that is going to pull, that holds the crown in. We're going to take that off once we remove the rest of the other side of the watch. So we'll flip her back over. And see if we can't get this thing to grip. There we go. And kind of take our time on this as well. So I'm gonna, oops, that's the wrong loop. Keyless works plate. I don't know what these pieces are called. I could do much better at remembering these things. I need to take the class from Mark Lovick. All right, we'll go ahead and pop this off. It's under a little bit of tension. And then the yoke spring. Glad I was holding on to that. And the yoke. And 3 wheels. This is the hour wheel, I think. The 2 intermediate wheels. Get that back into view. And with that, we can flip the movement over again. We will undo this tiny little, the setting lever screw, and we should see the setting lever just fall off the bottom of the watch. There it went. pull out the crown. That is one disassembled watch. Let's go to this view. Ooh, actually this might not be working. Yep, hold on. Please hold. Technical difficulties. Studio mode, webcam. There we go. There it is, all disassembled. All right, let's go put her back together again. But first, I'm gonna do a little bit of cleaning. Let me grab some wood. I think this is the 4mm pegwood, and I don't really love it. I have this guy, but I need to go get a knife to sharpen him. In the meantime, wow, there is so much oil on these pivots. That's probably why this watch is running so good. It's already very well oiled. Oh, I just realized you can't really see what I'm doing, huh? We'll come back here. Oh. Alright, that's all those pivots somewhat cleaned. Not done super well. And now we're going to do this. Stick a little piece of Rodico here. And we'll go through all these pivots one by one. And that is all of those pivots, minus the hairspring pivot. Alright, let's go put this thing back together. Let's go ahead and get these things out. And I assume that these are all different sizes. Let's see. Okay, the red one looks medium sized. Yep, the green one is smaller. The blue one is insanely small. And the black one is wildly small. So it is actually in order here. We go like that. Unfortunate that these are not the same color. This is kind of the ordering of the color that I have. So this is the biggest, this is biggest to smallest, and these are going to go thinnest to thickest. So unfortunately, it actually probably should be like this. And I suppose that I actually could have matched everything up here if I had put my red oiler here, my black oiler here, and this would have been my thinnest, which would be the black oiler on this thing. I could have made them all the same. I don't know, we'll see how I feel about that later. But for now, we're gonna move all of these up here. We'll have the oilers live over here somewhere. Okay, let's start the process, shall we? First things first, the barrel. Actually, the first things first here is to put in the what is that called? That is the crown spring, the crown spring screw ish, something like that. Okay, and then I think that this guy needs a little bit of the medium viscosity oil on it, and so we're gonna try that. I don't know if that red one looks too thick. What's our order here again? It looks like it goes red, green, blue, black. So we're gonna go with green, I think. And we're gonna grab some of this red oil, and we're gonna put it on this pivot before we put it through the movement. There we go. And my question is what is the standard for what you do with the oiler here? I need to go watch those videos for the rules here. And I think this thing is strong enough to just stab into the Rodico to clean it off. Yeah. I think that's also what this pad is for. Yep. Okay. Let's flip that over and put it in. Although I think that the pallet bridge might be easier to put on first. Let's see. Not the pallet bridge, the barrel bridge. Okay. A little bit out of focus here. There we go. Flip this around. That's what we like to see. Let's get those bridge screws in. Next up, shim. Oh, wait a minute. Nope, that thing probably wants some of that. This one actually probably wants some of the thick blue grease. I'm gonna see. Am I able to just take some of this from the grease cap here? Let's see here if I can just. Yep. So we'll just add a little bit here. Ooh, wow, I grabbed a lot. I'll leave that right there for now. Probably not the best idea, but we're gonna go with it. And then we're gonna put the wheel on that. Go ahead and close that back up. The last thing we want is some dandruff falling into the boiler basin. There that goes. And then that is that screw. Here we have the reverse threaded screw. And now we can screw those down. I actually don't know if it's standard practice to put grease on this wheel. It feels like it ought to be. Okay. And now the little click spring. This bit is a bit tricky because it wants to just jump around. Although now that I'm looking at this, I think I probably should have put the click spring. Yep, I'm going to pull that back off. This is about par for the course for me. Just going a little bit too fast. All right, now let's put the click spring in. Do we have it the right way? That's backwards. Whew. Just barely jumped across my desk. There we go. Now we got this little chicken looking thing that goes over the top here. And now that I think about it, I probably want to put a little bit of this blue oil on here first, so we'll do that. Uh-oh. Well, that oil is thick enough to grab a spring. Nice and slow. Okay. Now we need to grab our spring again. Try to get it cleaned off here. Yep, there we go. And then see if we can't get it in the right way without getting any grease on it. That is upside down. There we go. Okay. Now the little chicken piece, now that we got some grease on there. And our screw. And I just knocked it. Okay. Alright, there we go. Now we can get our barrel gear on there. Alright. There we go. Next up, escape wheel. I actually want to see what happens if I put this thing. Oh, that's just totally going to get messy. We're going to clean off this oiler right now. I think that is probably standard practice, is just getting those things clean right away. Escape wheel time. Well, that was pretty obviously seated. It just spun on it. Escape wheel bridge. This bridge has always been the trickiest for me. That's looking good though. Looking good. Let's tighten that down a little bit more. Okay, now we can do the train. Next one is the one that's going to come in here underneath the main, the fourth wheel, I think is the, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, yep. And I believe the barrel is number 5. Okay. See if I can get that a little bit sharper for you. Right there. Okay. And now this second wheel that goes all the way through it. This one's a little bit tricky because I gotta go under. I gotta go under the escape wheel bridge. There we go. And now the whole train should spin. Okay, yep, that's looking good. This wheel just looks like it needs to mesh over a little. So we'll push that back in. And that's looking good. So now we'll come over here, grab our bridge. And we're going to turn this sideways so that I can get a side grip on this. And we're just going to try to drop it right down in place. That's looking good. Oh yeah, I forgot I told you I was going to show you the magnetic problem I'm having. We'll go do that. Once we get all these tightened down. Okay. That is everything minus the pallet fork. And now here's where I never remember. Reassembly. The crown wheel reverse threaded, the click spring, the escape wheel, the train, and then we go cannon pinion. Should click, and then they go pallet fork. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So we flip this thing over now, and we go to the keyless works. This thing has always been super finicky in how it wants to seat in here. Just because we're not all the way put together yet on our other side, so we do that. And we should be able to take our cannon pinion now and put it over the center stem. Although now that I think about it, I think that's supposed to have a little grease on it. So we're going to go back. I'm going to try for my smaller oiler this time. See if it's a little easier to clean off in the end. Oh, wait a minute. What HP? Which one is this one? This one is... We actually missed grease in a couple spots already. Looks like you could also go keyless works first, but it's going to be grease on the teeth of this guy. Wait a minute, cannon pinion, not even worried about yet. I'm going to put that off to the side. And take the ratchet wheel. And according to this, we want a little bit of grease on the ratchet wheel, so I'm going to go grab some. And we're going to put a little bit here. That is our little bit of grease on the ratchet wheel. And we'll put that in place. Ratcheting side in. And then what is this? That is 1300, which I believe to be, that's 9010. I think red is our 1300, yeah. So then it wants, hold on, I'm gonna zoom in on my diagram here, make sure I'm getting the right thing. Oh, interesting, it actually wanted the blue grease on these top ones here. That's the setting, so we'll grab some more of that. On those teeth there. And we'll clean that off. Really, like whatever that little sticky stuff is great. Okay, and now we're gonna take the clicker boy here. Let's put some of my stuff away so we're out, everything out of the way here. And we're gonna grab some of this red oil, the medium. Put that down here onto these teeth. There we go. And now we'll put that into place. And it wanted some of the, hold on, no, this is all backwards. What is, that is Mobius 1300. Okay, yep. So they actually want this, more of the red. We're gonna take the green oiler again. And it wanted that on the bits of the crown that are going to interact with it. So some there, some there, some there. crown in place. And then setting lever screw. Ooh, that is gonna suck. They want a little bit of oil in the bottom of that. That actually doesn't make any sense to me, if I'm being honest. Setting lever screw next, huh? I hate this piece. This is by far my least favorite piece of a watch to put on. At least on this movement. This screw is so difficult to get to seat. I'm gonna try something different here. We're gonna go off camera a little bit, so my apologies. No, I'm not. That means it's gonna be off of the over carpet, and that's not good. So we're gonna do this. This is where just having big hands is really not great. So I'm gonna try to hold on to that. And then spin this little screw. Okay, it's not gripping. Yep, we came off a little bit, so let's move that back on. Keep trying here. Nope. That worked. Weird. That's probably the hardest time I've ever had with that. There we go. Now I just need to tighten it up a little bit. That feels good. Okay. Ooh, moving on. Now I think we just want little bits of oil on all of these intermediate wheels here. So we're going to put a little, let's actually call it out. Let's see here. Yeah, okay, so it wants the same oil on this surface here, and this surface here, and this surface here. Basically all the places that we're going to put these little wheels on here that would be some medium friction points. Number one. Number two. And number three. Yep. And then we're going to grab the yoke spring here, or the yoke rather, and then we'll grab the yoke spring in a moment. Oh, nope, you know what? We need some Mobius, or we need some oil on this little pivot here. Pivot, 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 yep. Some oil right here. That looks like a little bit much, but we can figure that out in a minute. I think move that back out of the way a bit. Get that seated. Okay, now there's the tricky part of putting in the spring that could fly. Okay, so we're gonna take this nice and slow. I've done this a couple times now, and it's never gotten easier, so. Okay. That's too small of a drive. 140. That feels better. And now we also need to put in some oil. Well, actually, this is going to be some grease here. I'm just going to get ever so slightly a little bit off of the lid here. And That is going to go down here where this thing clicks back and forth. Go ahead and click it back and forth a couple times. Get the grease on the other pivot. And then use some Rodico to clean that up. Okay, that is our keyless works. And we can finish that off by putting on the cannon, or the cannon pinion, which this is now I'm realizing going to be tricky because I didn't line this up ahead of time. There we go. Click in, and now we are all right. Let's get back over. Almost done here. And then we're gonna have to do the HP 1300 on all the tiny little holes. We're not gonna do the balance today. I have not yet pulled apart the balance, and that feels a little daunting. All right. Okay. That's the pallet fork in place. Now we need to grab the pallet fork bridge and put it over the top of it. This has two little studs to line it up nice, conveniently. However, I am crazy shaky today. That is almost in place. Looking good now. should jump back and forth ever so slightly when you touch it. That's what we're looking for. And I'm gonna clean up what looks like a little bit of gunk on that fork. Nope, I think that's just a machining mark. Okay. And the last bit of the watch, which is almost always the most rewarding bit. That's very close there. I'm gonna go ahead and put on my higher magnification loop. That looks like it's running okay, not great. That's probably due to the oil that I just removed from everything. But okay, so the pivot's in the right place on the top jewel. We'll put this screw in nice and gently and see what we can see on the back side of the movement. Yeah, looks like it's in place. Okay, we'll tighten that down. All right, and then we're gonna give this thing some wind. And let me see if I can't show everybody what's happening. We'll get that out of the way. You should be able to see. There we go. The pallet fork jumping back and forth down below there. And then the escape wheel slowly turning around. And we're going to go ahead and plop this thing onto the time grapher. Oh, hold on, gotta plug it in. And we're going to put this back into the movement holder to put it on the time grapher so that we have something nice to hold on to. Let's crank this bad boy up and give it a good wind. 270 amplitude, losing 11 seconds a day. That's phenomenal. The days I can fix rather quickly. But first, I want to oil these pivots. So let's see what those things want. Okay, yep, they want. So on the main two pivots here, which is going to be this big one here. Actually, let's flip it over. They've got this from the other side here. So we've got the second hand jewel here, or the second hand, the fourth wheel's here, 3, 4, escape wheel pallet fork. And they want, I believe, 1300, so they want the red on the middle and this one. So we'll go ahead and give them that. Now I'm going to put my loop back on. And we'll go back to the other view so we can do this together. Grab some red. Ooh, you know what? That is too big. That is too big by a mile. I think this is where the very fine oiler comes in. We'll grab a little Mobius 1300. Nice. That's so satisfying to just watch that flow down in. And grab some 9010 here. One more bit of 9010. Okay. Flip it over. And it's going to be 9010 on the escape wheel. I'm going to actually put my other loop on for this because this is insanely small. Okay. And now 1300 for the other two wheels. Wow, that's so small. It's fun though. Okay. Let's put it back in the holder. And then we're going to modulate this by turning this to try to gain back some time. We'll see what we're at here. And I wish that I had a camera that was pointing at that. Maybe what I'll do in the future is get my time grapher set up over here so that everybody can watch that together. I actually wonder, you know what, I'm going to do that real fast. Please hold, everybody. I'm a little bit nervous about having the time graph or feet over here, but we shall see. That's some garbage we can toss. Now the problem here is I don't know if I have power close enough to this thing. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to run a small extension cord. That's okay, we've got one of those prepped and ready. Give me a second here. Just doing some office reorganization real fast. Okay, there's that. I have one more 90-degree power cable. Thought that we had one. If not, we're just gonna hook up real fast the old-fashioned way, and we'll figure out the wiring later. Yeah, here we go. Okay. You know what I'm realizing is that you cannot really see what's on this screen. I don't think I can zoom in on that at all. Oh, I'm also realizing now that we've got a little bit of stuff in the way here. So that looks like we're running plus 3 seconds, and the beat error is pretty bad. I don't know how to mess with beat error yet. That's something that I'm meaning to learn before next week. Oh, you can kind of see it. I don't know how I could make that more visible. Maybe. Let's move the coffee cup. What if we get this thing closer? I think it's just not ideal for the webcam here. I wonder if I could do this. Realistically, this thing needs to come way in here if you want to see it. And then at this point, it's just too crowded. I think it's just going to be a problem with the quality of this webcam. Not really meant for this, I think. Yeah, I can't turn the ISO down. So we're just gonna, I'm gonna go put it back over where it belongs after we're done here for tonight. But for now, it's running about 9 seconds slow. So we're gonna speed it up a little bit here. Ever so slightly tap this guy over. That was definitely too much. Let's see if we can't get a better angle on this thing. Looking like plus 6 seconds a day here. Plus 4. I'll move this over to where I can see it a little bit better. That's plus 2, getting closer. Oh, overshot it a little. So finicky, minus 10. This looks like plus 2 now. Nope, plus 4. That looks like it might be it. Minus 6. I'm just going too far in both directions here. Basically just have to breathe on this little adjustment lever. That moved a little. I wonder if anyone's ever found a better way to do these tiny little micro adjustments. Still looking at like minus 7 here. That's looking promising. Minus 2. Minus 0. Minus 0. Minus 1. I'm going to leave it right there for today. We're going to call that good enough. Put the Rodico away. And I'm going to figure out how to get the time grapher on camera. I think that there's a iPhone app that I can use that will let me stream from my iPhone, and that way I can keep the time grapher over here on the table where I think it should go long term. But I think for today, we're going to call that good enough. 0 seconds a day, 290 degrees of amplitude. I would say that this movement is happy as a clam. And newly oiled. And And now placed back in its protective home. All right, we are going to put stuff away.